यही करना है खाली, अगर बीच में बंद हो जाए या ये अटक जाए उसको बंद कर देना, दोबारा चालू कर देना, यही करना है। वैसे चलता रहेगा, वो कैमरामैन को बताते रहना कहीं हिलाना है डुलाना है। कूपन लेना पड़ेगा ना, कूपन लेने पड़ेंगे दो लंच का। मैंने तो कर लिया लंच, मैं तो अपने लेके आ रहा हूँ। मिल जाएगा, मिल जाता है, उनको बोल देना कन्वीनर को दिला लेके देगा। क्या चलेगा, यहाँ से चलेगा चंद्रशेखर पाएगा, ऋतुरानी पाएगा। कितने बजे फ्री होगा? टाइम तो हो चुका, पर ये मेरा लेट चल रहा है ये। मैं आ जाऊँगा इनके आधा आधा 1 घंटे 1:30 बजे आ जाऊँगा। 1:30 सुबह तक। दिपेश को दे देते, दिया है मैंने दिया वो मेरा आज का, मैंने तो खा लिया तो जल्दी। मैं यार आजा, इतनी जल्दी कैसे खा लिया? घर पे लाता हूँ उसको भी काम करना है। नहीं करता कर रखा है क्या इसकी स्टार्टिंग में रिकॉर्डिंग चालू है
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Moving on towards our first technical session, which is devoted to finance area of management. Firstly, I would like to request Professor P.C. Jangir sir for the floral welcome of Professor P.K. Jain sir, who is chair of this session. Please welcome Professor P.K. Jain sir. Please have a huge round of applause for him. Thank you, sir.
Financial management refers to the efficient and effective management of money in such a manner as to accomplish the objectives of the organization. To lay financial management in context to Make in India, we start our first technical session.
With this, let's start our first technical session by inviting Professor B.K. Jain sir to take his chair and begin this session. I would also request our eminent speakers to come on the stage and take their seat. Please give them a huge round of applause.
Corporate trainer, and I had an opportunity to invite him earlier for a one-day seminar, and I found this seminar wonderful and most interesting and very useful to our students. So with these two speakers, we would start this session. Firstly, I would request Mr. Sobani to start his session on and his topic is problems and prospects of various components of Make in India program. Mr. Sobani.
Good afternoon, everybody. Professor Jain, chairman of this session, Mr. Chandrasekhar, who has come from Bangalore, and dear students and other participants of this session. Friends, the discussion in this session is on the management aspect or the business management aspect of Make in India effort. Our Prime Minister, dynamic Prime Minister Narendra Modi, rightly initiated the Make in India campaign to give boost to our economic growth, substantial increase in the GDP, increase in the employment, job opportunities, so that millions of youth of this country can be given jobs. Friends, so far as government is concerned, Make in India efforts, lot of initiatives are being taken from the end of the government. Say, legal reforms. You must have heard about the land acquisition, which is for making Make in India effort a success. The government is also planning to bring out GST, to roll out GST. Still, they commit that from 1st of April 2016, they will be rolling out GST. So far as government is concerned, friends, I feel they are making efforts, providing infrastructure, the, the basics to make this campaign happen a success story. But my discussion here would be on a different facet of this issue. And friends, please note that I am neither an academician nor a research scholar. I am a practicing chartered accountant. Uh, Maybe more than 30 years I am in practice. I have seen lot many businesses uh, succeeding and failing both. Therefore, I have my own views, may not be based on any proven research, but I have my own views about what can make business a success. And unless that is taken care of, may not be from the part of the government, but the individual entrepreneur of the country, the youth of the country, the business people of the country, probably in spite of the best efforts of the government of India, this Make in India campaign, I doubt, seriously doubt, cannot succeed. Friends, managing business from the point of view I wish to discuss this issue, I feel has two aspects. There are external factors, there are internal factors. So far as external factors are concerned, we all know that individual entrepreneur has limitation. He cannot control the external factors, he cannot change the external factors. The external factors may move to his advantage, may move to his disadvantage. Very recently, we are witnessing an era where oil prices are reducing. This is one external factor for this country on which India has no control. Even the government of India has no control. The individual businessman has no control. It is presently moving to our advantage. But there are other factors. Suppose the entire European economy is not showing any improvement. The US economy is also not faring well. Due to that, our exports are reducing. You must have heard month on month basis, there is a reduction of almost 20% month on month in our exports. But all these are external factors. We have very limited control. We have to realign ourselves to, say, adequately face these external factors to our advantage and to make our business successful and survive on the basis of even confronting with these external factors. External factors also in India have infrastructure problems. We don't have any control on infrastructure problems. Suppose अगर आज हमारे यहाँ ports पे congestion है और हमारे exports उसकी वजह से delay होते हैं, we have no control because it is the government of India which can develop ports, and unless that is done, individual businessman has no role to play in that. There are legal frameworks where we have no control, and that is the government's prerogative. One example I have given, land acquisition. Because of the legal issues, acquisition of land is very difficult for the business to build industries thereon or to build infrastructure thereon. Availability of resources is again a problem, again external problem. For example, a mixed example of legal issues and availability of resources, the coal the blocks in our country were not operational on account of Supreme Court directions for a long, and not many thermal power stations and other industries which were based on coal supplies were adversely affected. But here I am only having a passive reference to these external forces or the external factors on which probably we have no control. But friends, there are internal factors, and definitely we can control the internal factors, and that is the subject matter of my discussion. I wish to bring about this particular aspect of the Make in India campaign. I wish to draw attention of the audience here, the participants here. And before I proceed further, kindly have a look at these figures. These are, you all understand, young boys and girls, non-performing assets. That is, you understand non-performing assets? What are these? These are the bank has given loan to any business. बिजनेस अच्छी तरीके से मैनेज नहीं हुआ या कभी एक्सटर्नल फैक्टर्स की वजह से बिजनेस फेल हो रहा है और वो इंटरेस्ट और प्रिंसिपल को रीपे नहीं कर पा रहा, देन इट बिकम्स नॉन परफॉर्मिंग एसेट फॉर द बैंक. The bank classifies that as non-performing asset. Now see in our country, as on 31st of March 2013, 1,94,73 करोड़ रुपए के non-performing assets थे, which substantially increased to 2,64,195 crores. 2,64,195 के non-performing assets हमारी कंट्री में as on 31st of March 2014 हैं. And the biggest worry is that this figure is not at all correct. The Reserve Bank of India time and again has mentioned that in the economy, in the banking sector, there are larger hidden NPAs. बहुत ज़्यादा NPAs हैं जो अभी banks identify नहीं कर पा रहे. Now friends, can you tell me what is the reason? And this is internationally accepted norms के हिसाब से इंडिया का ये जो नॉन परफॉर्मिंग एसेट्स का रेशियो है, मे बी विद रेफरेंस टू जीडीपी, मे बी विद रेफरेंस टू द टोटल एडवांसेस ऑफ द बैंक्स, इट इज वेरी हाई. मे बी सम अदर कंट्रीज प्रोबेबली दीस डेज ऑफ द इकोनॉमिक रिसोर्सेज ऑफ दिस कंट्री, अगर ये सारे बैड डेट्स हो रहे हैं बैंक्स के, तो इट इज नॉट जस्ट द लॉस ऑफ द बैंक्स. पूरा जो कुछ भी एंटिटी है उसके अंदर जितने लोग रोजगार पा रहे थे, जितने और स्टेक होल्डर्स थे, द लास्ट सेशन वी डिस्कस्ड अबाउट द स्टेक होल्डर्स. So all the stakeholders are at loss. The total economy is at loss. Now I'll also draw your attention to these figures. These are very interesting figures. You will find DLF, you know that is the district real estate company. One time it was the number one company, real estate company in particular of the country. AP Singh, who holds the major shares of this company, his net worth based on his investment in the shares and the prices, the listed price of the DLF company, उसकी net worth 1,61,410 करोड़ थी दिसंबर 2007. और फ्रेंड्स अगस्त 2005 में वो नेट वर्थ गिर करके 15,282 करोड़ रुपए, 15,000 करोड़. It means 90% of the wealth is eroded of that particular company over a period of 8 years. Normally 8 years के अंदर कम से कम 3 times होनी चाहिए. अगर आप वो देखें तो ये 1.5 लाख से 4.5 लाख या 5 लाख करोड़ होनी चाहिए थी उसकी नेटवर्थ, which is presently is only 15,000 crores of rupees, a decline of 90%. Unitech, the decline is to the extent of 99%. Now you can compare the two even. One, the reduction is 90%, another the reduction is 99%. So a bigger mass, a bigger failure is Unitech. Then we have these two partner developers also. And on the contrary, you will find, you must have read in the newspapers, Mahindra Group and lot many other industries. They are successful in their real estate business. They are growing even foreign investors, foreign private equity investors are keen to invest because they find that the business model is very robust. The business is very efficiently managed by some of the companies, some of the industrial houses, the same real estate business. And on the other hand, no one is willing to say advance or invest in these companies. The reason, the point I want to emphasize here again is that these people manage no amount of legislation, no amount of very favorable external environment will help. Ultimately, the businessman himself will have to prove his mettle. He will have to prove that yes, he can manage the resources in the best possible manner and he can make the business a success story. Then only the Make in India story can succeed. Now, friends, what is methodical and orderly conduct of business? I feel this is badly lacking. In our country, the individual, and I am talking particularly the medium scale industries. The larger ones, I am not at all directly referring because most of them I say are professionally managed, better managed, but medium MSE sector to have, medium and small sector to have, MSME sector, that is infected with this problem where the methodical and orderly conduct of business is missing. They are not doing their homework properly. उन्हें क्या काम करना है and the examples are very small. अगर आप छोटे इंडस्ट्री को देखेंगे तो आप ये पाएंगे उसने टाइम फिक्स कर रखा है एम्प्लॉइज के लिए 9:30 सारे एम्प्लॉइज को वो एक्सपेक्ट करता है दैट दे विल रिपोर्ट. He will go not before 11. The original strength, they jumped to a area, to a business for which they had not enough competence, and at the end of the day, they lost on both fronts. And friends, my friend is a banker, most of the business people enjoyed or used the entire facility from the bank and diverted the funds to the real estate business. Diverted the funds, their time and energy also to the real estate sector, and now that real estate sector is feeling the problem, it is slowing down, the returns are not good, the money is stuck up in the real estate, and now they are realizing that they have done a big mistake, ignoring their original business and diverting their attention to a new business for which they had not enough competence, and therefore on both fronts they have failed. And the fourth point is also that they are not devoted to their business. I have few people who love their business so much. मैं एक दिन मुझे ध्यान है मेरे एक बिजनेस फ्रेंड के साथ पिकनिक पे गया. बरसात का टाइम था, जब पिकनिक से शाम को आ रहे थे हम लोग, मैंने पूछा कैसा रहा. उसने कहा हाँ यार इतना मजा तो ऑफिस में भी नहीं आता. Then I realized that he enjoys staying in office and he was comparing his outing with his day spending in the office. That is what a devotion means and that is what a devotion gives. If some businessman is devoted towards that business, then definitely success is bound to be there. There is no question that that business would fail. And I have got many examples I have where they love their business so much. Friends, I often quote example. I have a Dhubi जो मेरे neighborhood में है, and he loves his job so much. अगर आप उसको प्रेस करते हुए देखें तो आपको लगेगा कि शायद उसके लिए उसके पास जितने तल्लीनता से जितने तन्मयता से वो प्रेस करता है, और उसका मतलब ये होता है कि उसके यहाँ से निकला हुआ कपड़ा बेस्ट प्रेस करा हुआ होना चाहिए. मैंने बहुत बार देखा है कि कई लोग आ जाते हैं, मतलब मैं आपको एग्जांपल ऐसे भी बता सकता हूँ, कोई जना उसके पास झगड़ रहा होता है कि यार मेरे को तो बारात में जाना है या मेरी तो ट्रेन छूट रही है और मेरे कपड़े प्रेस करके दे, बट ही लव्स दैट, उसको प्रेस करनी है. बेस्ट प्रेस जब तक वो नहीं कर देगा, he will not hand over, he will not complete his job. He loves his job that much. He says it's a pleasure for me. और मुझे प्रेस आता है, इसलिए मैं प्रेस करता हूँ. Earning for me is secondary. There are people in the business also, but there are people who will always be cursing their business. अरे यार इस बिजनेस में तो बहुत डिफिकल्टी है, इसकी बजाय तो वो बिजनेस अच्छा है, हमारे बिजनेस में तो ये प्रॉब्लम है, हमारे बिजनेस में ये दिक्कतें हैं. I feel unless this mindset is changed, unless they do business in a manner which gives them enjoyment and pleasure, they will not be devoted and focused to the business. And at the end, I think they are not going to succeed in this business. Therefore, friends, from a chartered accountant who has seen so many businesses failing or growing, these are some issues which I feel I must bring to the before you people to ponder upon, that if we want to make in India campaign successful, बहुत बड़ी बातें करने के साथ साथ ग्राउंड लेवल पे हमें जो बिजनेसमैन का एटीट्यूड है, जो बिजनेसमैन का रवैया है टुवर्ड्स हिज ओन बिजनेस, जब तक वो चेंज नहीं होगा, even if the capital is made available to him, even if the land is made available to him, even if there is demand in the economy, even if the interest rate is reduced, I don't think the way he is managing the business can get him success. So friends, that is all from my side. A very unstructured deliberation. I don't know whether it has any base of any research, but that is definitely based on my own experience at the ground level. And at this point, although nothing very technical, but any questions if you have about whatever I tried to explain, I would welcome to answer the questions.
So, sir, your session is very wonderful. Why it is wonderful? Because it is very practical. Because you incorporate your all the experience. So, I would like to say, Rajiv Sugani sir is my teacher, and I am very thankful for sir. And I want to give one tips to all the students because these all points are very relevant. So, you know FDI. What is the meaning of FDI? So in short, you may remember FDI FDI method. First F means focus. First F means focus. Second D means devotion, and third I means innovation, and M means methodology. Your method, your system should be improved. So you may easily remember and you may apply anywhere as a case study. You will find if a business applies these four formula, 4 point formula, then there will be success because this is tested. In our books, we will find learning, motivation, coordination, organization, leadership. But in practical life, because today is important, past is not important, future is not important, because future comes when we work in on projects. So I think this is a very good formula. I found it very useful for the students, sir. Thank you very much.
I'm thankful for this opportunity because this is away from my regular field of profession. I don't know to what extent this has been beneficial to you people. Has already taken benefit of this Make in India campaign, Make in China campaign means the manufacturing sector, so the global demand is not there. Therefore, these economists feel that where is the demand for which you will manufacture in India? Our existing exports are reducing. Therefore, they feel Make in India campaign is like boarding a bus which has already left. They say that Korea and China, they have reaped the benefit of such a manufacturing campaign, and for India probably it is too late, and there are economists who are questioning the validity of this particular campaign. But let us not go into that. Whatever way, definitely the Indian economy is still in the growing stage, and such campaigns will definitely improve the overall production, employment, GDP, and economy of the country. So that is rightly raised, and that issue, that question mark, is definitely there in the minds of so many economists.
Another question is, Indian government allows 49% of FDI in defense sector.
So how it attracts capital and technology?
No, I could not understand your question.
Sir,
Pardon?
Indian government allows 49% of FDI in defense sector.
Okay, defense. Yes, again, that is a problem because nobody is willing to transfer the technology if his ownership is restricted to 49%. That is a debate going on, but defense is a sensitive sector. Government is aware that this is a sector where the ownership has to be with India. Therefore, there is a dichotomy, there is a difficulty whether 49% the foreigners would be interested in transferring the technology for the defense sector or not. Therefore, there is a question mark about its success, but definitely there are issues. We cannot allow it beyond 50%. We want this defense sector to be controlled and owned by the Indians. So that issue remains debatable. The success or failure only time will tell.
One last question. China is manufacturing for world. The internal consumption of China is less than 30% of any of commodity.
And we don't depend on foreign consumption to grow. So that is what I feel we are better placed. China is facing difficulties. Thank you very much. Thank you, friends. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sogani. In fact, he came down to ground level and made most practicable suggestions to make in India a success. Instead of depending upon external factors, he highlighted the internal factors, which are very practical, and unless those are looked after, the Make in India program cannot be successful. Now, after Mr. Sogani, I would now request Mr. Chandrasekhar, who is a very experienced banker, trainer, corporate trainer, and a very prominent person in the field of banking and innovation as well as conducting seminars. Mr. Chandrasekhar.
So friends, good afternoon. Sit there, can you do one exercise? Are you ready? Yeah. I will say 3 words and you are going to follow those words. Check, yeah. I am going to demonstrate for the actions for those 3 words, and sitting there you can do that. Okay?
Great round of applause to Mr. Sogani.
Are you ready?
Thank you.
Yes. Your attention please. I am going to say 3 words and you are going to act for those 3 words. Watch me carefully, you are going to do the way I do it. Okay? Stand, clap, cheer. Stand, clap, cheer. What cheer? No sound. Hey, oh, come on. Cheer. Yes, very good. Thank you. Let us start our session, deliberation on strengthening the public sector banks for extending financial assistance for infrastructure development under Making India campaign. Mr. Rajiv has already set the foundation. He has clearly brought out some of the basics which is required for deliberating on my topic. So thanks to Mr. Rajiv, who has done an excellent job on presenting what is Making India as far as SMEs are concerned. And I am going to take you to the infrastructure sector, which is the big picture, which depends on the economic growth. So the covering would be an introduction, the big picture, the scenario, Make in India, the sources of financing for infrastructure, and the role of public sector, causes for NPA in infrastructure financing, and more focus on how to strengthen the PSBs for extending financial sector support for infrastructure projects. The investment outlay for the different 5-year plans, it's a big picture. For the 10th plan, 2002-7, it was 8,37,159 crores. During 11th plan, 2007-12, it was 23,74,307 crores. And for the 12th plan, 2012-17, it is expected to be double, 55 lakh 75,000 crores is the outlay for infrastructure financing. The whole economic growth will depend on how the money is going to be pumped into the infrastructure, which ultimately is going to see our Indian economy growing at the present benchmark of 7.8%. It's a wonderful time to see that in the budget 2015, 17,000 crores have been allocated for this 5-year plan, and a lot of expectation from the infrastructure growth, so that we can, as an economy, can grow. The infrastructure sector includes power, roads. Almost 18% of the infrastructure funds goes for NHAI, National Highways Authority of India, and airports, shipping, coal, mining, petroleum, and renewable energy, and pumps. These are part of the infrastructure which we are talking about. The investment outlay which we have seen, this is the share of infrastructure in total bank funding. If you see, from 2002, it has gone up to 12.15%, and now it has come down to 10.4%. Mr. Rajiv was talking about NPA, and he was also explaining about what is NPA. I hope now you have a clear idea of what is NPA, and this is one of the major reasons why banks are hesitating to fund infrastructure projects. These are the sources of finance. All of you know what is ECB, what is FDI, what is FII, right? Those funds are coming in, and there are so many instruments which are being in the capital market, particularly debt instrument market. And in fact, I have been hearing for the last almost 20 years that the debt market should be deepened, widened, and all that, but nothing is happening. And in fact, last 15 days back, last fortnight, I was in Ahmedabad attending the CII Confederation of Indian Industries, a seminar on infrastructure financing. They were also telling about the same thing, why it is not happening. However, the major role in infrastructure financing is played by public sector banks. I really don't know why. My basic question, of course it's my personal opinion, why public sector banks should be involved in infrastructure financing. They are commercial banks. They have to encourage savings. They have to finance commercial activities in the country. Why they should finance infrastructure? It's a big question mark. Because like the government had a very good idea of starting financial institutions focused for infrastructure development. IDBI. What is it IDBI stands for? Infrastructure development. Right? ICICI. What it stands for? Industrial Credit and Investment Corporation of India. What they are doing now? Doing commercial banking business, focusing instead of focusing on infrastructure financing. 80% of the infrastructure financing are being funded by public sector banks, which is supposed to be done by investment bankers. And that is one of the major reasons why public sector banks are not interested in extending further finance to infrastructure industry. So the leading PSU banks in India such as Bank of India, State Bank of India, Punjab National Bank, Bank of Baroda, Union Bank, Canara Bank, Bank of India have a very major share. Out of the 80% of infrastructure financing, 80% of that financing is done by these major six banks. So that is the critical position of financed by public sector banks. For these banks, the exposure also poses a threat as compared to financial institutions, who takes a major chunk of finance. And whenever banks finance, particularly for infrastructure projects, which is a long tenure project, the minimum period of a project lending would be starting from 10 years to 25 years. That is why recently a concept paper called 5 Part 25 has been introduced by Government of India as to how banks can use this 5 by 25 methodology, due diligence, impact of cash flows in the projects, and hold on projects. So when it comes to appraisal, recently the Deputy Governor of the Reserve Bank of India, Gandhiji, has clearly spoken just last week on 12th of August in a national seminar that he has identified the credit appraisal knowledge in the banking system has to be strengthened. It was surprising that many banks are using consultants for doing credit appraisal in the banking industry. Now, the focus is to be strengthening the insiders to have a very good credit appraisal system. In fact, National Institute of Bank Management in Pune and Bankers Training College BTC in Mumbai is now going to focus more on developing the credit appraisal systems, and MBA finance students will have a very good score because there is a lot of credit appraisal skills are required in the banking industry. If you focus on those areas, the career is going to be very good, and sky is not the limit for career in banking. The second biggest cause for NPA is the checking of flow of capital. In fact, many banks, when they were submitted the proposal, don't even ask whether the capital has flown into the company. Because these infrastructure giants or big companies have a group of companies, the capital flow from different companies within the group. And these are all book and risk, may not be actual funds will be flowing into the project. So they don't even check whether there is actual flow of capital into the project by the company, which is mainly the borrower. And as I said, there is a mismatch in ALL. The deposits are normally for a duration of starting from 50 days to maximum of 5 to 10 years. And today you know the trend in bank deposits. The shorter period duration deposits carry more weight than the longer duration deposits. So people going for short-term deposits rather for long-term deposits. So banks, what do? They take small period deposits and they have to invest in the long-term projects when it comes to infrastructure. So 25 years commitment, 1 year deposit, commitment for 25 years. So there is a huge mismatch in the assets and liability in terms of duration of these funds. So normally in an average the bank deposits is between 3 to 3.5 years on the liability side, whereas on the asset side the term loans to infrastructure loans all starts from anywhere between 5 years to 25 years. So total mismatch of asset liability. Now that's what our Reserve Bank of India Deputy Governor has been focusing on telling the banks to see that they don't have a mismatch in asset liability management. The fourth important point is on risk sharing. Because it's a consortium, it is the sponsors who is the main borrowers, the consortium group of different banks, government, and the authorities. All put together, they have to share the risk. But in reality, the most of the risk is absorbed by the financial institutions and banks rather than by the government. A good story was told very recently. You know owl? Bird, right? Owl. That owl was there sitting on the tree, and one rat was seeing that it was being chased by the cat. So this rat went to owl and said, "Owl, please save me and give me the power of cat so that I'll become cat and I can make the cat become afraid of me." The owl said, "Tadastu, don't worry, you will become a cat." The rat went very happily, and after 50 days, the cat said, "I could not catch this rat. Now my time is becoming very worse. I am not able to eat." So it asked rat, "What did you do?" The rat said, "I went to owl and got blessed." "Oh, is that the matter?" The cat also went to the owl and said, "My problem is not able to catch and dogs are chasing me. So I should become like a dog. So the owl blessed, Tadastu, you will all become dog." After 50 days, the cat tried, but it did not become cat. So it went and asked the owl, "What happened? You said to you, I will become a dog and become more powerful." The owl said, "My duty is to only to see that I bless whatever you want. Making it happen is yours, job." And that is the way our government policies are also there. They only make the policy, but they don't see whether they are implemented, or if it is implemented, to what extent it has been implemented. If it is is it successful, or is it not successful? Why it is not successful? They don't monitor the project. They create the policies and leave it for the rest to implement it. There is another big lacuna in the system which is causing NPA for the public sector banks. Another area is due diligence. Clearances from all the boards, like if it is a land acquisition problem, like Sir said in the previous session, today unless 80 to 90% of the land acquisition is completed, the project cannot be implemented. So government is also trying to help to see that these projects are coming into reality. Environmental clearances. All these are part of project appraisal, and because the banks are not giving much importance for these areas, there are chances are that it may become NPA. Impact of the cash flows of the project. Many tolls in the national highways, you find big traffic area, they get good funds. Small traffic area, they are not able to even service the maintenance of the roads. So in fact that affects the bank in recovering the funds. And hold on projects. Out of 662 projects which started in 2012, almost about 60%, 412 of them are stalled for want of so many clearances and regulatory procedures. So ultimately, the bank funds are blocked to the extent where the projects are stalled. So this is the future tense. You see the mining, iron, steel, power, telecom, other industry, infrastructure, aviation, all put together as a share in the stressed advances are touching about 43% of the total advances. Now, how to strengthen the public sector banks for extending financial support? First, as I told you, the skill sets of their credit appraisal should be strengthened. The other ideas generated were pension funds and insurance funds should be allowed as players in this domain. I have my own doubts whether is it good or bad? Because pension fund and insurance funds are very important, which should not be touched for risk bearing and risk taking ventures. So I have my own doubts and reservations on bringing pension funds and insurance funds into infrastructure funds. Guidance on securitization of debts. Public sector banks should have clear guidelines on the securitization of debts. I hope you understand what is securitization of debts. The underlying security being same, they bundle it and brought few new securities in the debt market. So that is what is called securitization of debt, so that they can use special purpose vehicles route for funding the projects. And there is a need for depth. Also, the widening of this market, debt market particularly, by creating innovative debt instruments. Now, the number of days where the interest is not received in case of infrastructure projects should be at least double the period of other type of assets. Because in banks you have different types of assets like what I felt about the infrastructure financing and the role of public sector bank in strengthening the economy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chandrasekhar. In fact, he highlighted on various issues which are affecting the NPAs of the bank. One more problem in banks besides NPAs, restructured loan and ultimately stressed assets. Both these problems are constantly increasing, and the amount of stressed assets is going very high. In the last 4 or 5 days, paper there was a news that the total stressed assets of banks have gone up to 11% besides NPA. Thank you very much once again.
Now the moment has come to add a golden feather in the hat of success. We are going to invite two young researchers for the oral presentation. They will be getting 5 minutes each to present their research findings. For that, I would like to invite upon stage the first researcher, Dr. Rita Sen, for oral presentation. Good afternoon, students, sir and ma'am. I am talking about the role of financial services in making Make in India campaign success. What is Make in India? The 15th and current Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi, launched Make in India program on September 25, 2014 in New Delhi. He, along extending an invitation to foreign firms to invest in India, also solicited the CEOs of domestic firms to invest in India by saying that there is no need to leave the nation. We want our companies to stand out as MNCs. The Make in India program laid the foundation of India's new national manufacturing policies and rolled out the red carpet to both domestic and international industrialists with an aim to make India a manufacturing hub that will in turn boost the employment and overall growth of India. Initially, there are 25 sectors included in Make in India campaign. There are automobiles, chemicals, IT, textiles, pharmaceuticals, ports, aviation, leather, tourism and hospitality, wellness, railways, auto components, design manufacturing, renewable energy, mining, biotechnology, pharmaceuticals, electronics, etc. With focus on job creation, skill enhancement, economic, technical as well as overall infrastructure development.
Why Make of India? Make in India, need of Make in India. Why Mr. Narendra Modi launched this campaign in India? Quickly increasing global competition, cheap labor raw materials, potential high profit making markets, focusing on employment generation, boosting trade and economic growth, safeguard and sustain the overall development of India and its cities. That's why Mr. Narendra Modi launched this campaign in India. Requirements for the success of campaign. Manufacturing industry requires heavy finance to facilitate the buying of latest modern technology, setting up and development of required infrastructure, developing skill set of human resource to produce best quality products and survive in ever increasing global competition. Uh, Contributions towards society of Make in India campaign. Science is the most abundant, flexible and readily leveraged resource, which demands precise attention and articulation. According to World Bank data in 2013, the contribution of Indian manufacturing sector to Indian economy was nearly 13%. The overall contribution of manufacturing sector to this gross domestic product is just 28%. Objectives of the study. The objectives of my research for this is to identify the impact of financial services on the development of manufacturing sector in India and overall Indian economy, to suggest different techniques and systems through which financial support can be provided which is required to boost up the manufacturing industry, to find out the areas of investment where assistance of financial services is required for lifting the Indian manufacturing sector, which is the main objective of Make in India campaign. Various ways to prop up financial services for this campaign. Foreign manufacturers as well as domestic manufacturers will only be encouraged to invest in India if they will be provided with an enabling environment by government. Promoting and help flourishing the financial service advisors who provide end-to-end advice as from where will they finance come from, how much finance is required covering the whole life cycle and production scenario of the plant in manufacturing industry. These financial advisors also keep track of the inflow and outflow of the money. The initiative of government is must in order to reform the investment climate in India. Government should facilitate and encourage merchant banking, factoring, invoice discounting, facilitate in order to make the finance readily available. As Sir told, there are so many NPAs in banking sector and they are increasingly continuously. So to regulate these, the banking sector should be in the proper form, utilize Make in India campaign so NPA can be controlled. Commercial banks should make finance readily available for manufacturing enterprises. Government should bring such policies which are a bit lenient and relaxed on lower interest rates and thus review the performance and financial confidence of the manufacturing units. Regulatory environment should be empowered in order to pave a way for the development. Government of India should facilitate the promotion of more and more credit card companies and angel investors which will benefit both the manufacturer and the consumer. Financial planning. What is the financial planning under Make in India campaign? Under the initiative brochure on the 25 sector and a web portal were released. Initially there are 25 companies in this campaign. Before the initiative was launched, foreign equity caps in various sectors had been released. The application for license was made available for 3 years. Success of Make in India campaign, 49% to defense sector. Initially it was only 26%. 100% in railway infrastructure. This was in hope of bringing down the military products of India. Except space, there are 74%, in defense 49%, news and media 26%, and 100% FDI is allowed in remaining sectors. Between September 2014 to August 2015, the government received 1.10 crore worth of proposals from companies. 24.8% of smartphones shipped in the country in the April to June quarter. Because of this, the 40.92 billion physical year increments are there. Industrial production is bombing up very. Foxconn bet billions, contract manufacturing gained Foxconn last weekend $5 billion on factoring and research and development. General Motor Company recently announced it will invest another $1 billion in our country. Uber is ramping up its rollout. So we can say there is a need of reform in industrial strategy to make India a manufacturing focal point. Encouraging industrial structure need to be established that should attract more and more domestic as well as foreign industrials towards Indian terrain. There is a need for financial service providers and advisors who could work for these industries right from the beginning of the project. Improved quality and better performance management system needs to be in place to guide, monitor and improve the skill set of its workforce. Majority of industries, both foreign and domestic, generate employment opportunities, preventing brain drain, and making the use of internationally standardized technology affordable for Indian citizens. It focuses on giving Indian industry a global recognition. According to World Bank data in 2014, the contribution of Indian manufacturing industry to Indian economy was merely just 19%. The overall contribution of the manufacturing sector to its GDP was just 33%. The Indian also stands at a very low in the contribution in the world manufacturing with just 1.9% all over the world. Developing India as a manufacturing hub is not only required to earn a golden place in the eyes of foreign countries, but it is also important because development of manufacturing sector in India and its transformation into a world hub manufacturing industry will create more jobs and employment opportunities for its people. Now let's come to the conclusion directly because all the financial growth and these economic growth has already been discussed. So the conclusion is in today's scenario, people and money both are organizations' greatest competitive edge. There is a need for financial service providers and advisors who could actually work for these industries right from the beginning, that is right from clearance of the project. Make in India scheme also focuses on producing products with zero defects and zero effects on the environment. Thank you. Thank you, sir and ma'am. We appreciate your hard work and wish you a great future ahead. Now it is time for answering our speakers. So I would like to request our Assistant Director, Sujata Biyani ma'am, to please kindly give the mementos to our speaker for the session.
स्टॉप कर दूंगा कर दूं स्टॉप